Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Chakra Energy series. You're here today with Andy Valkyrie Divine, and today we're going to start with the Heart Chakra. So we took a break yesterday just so that we can actually integrate all of the energy work that we've been doing on our bottom three chakras, the physical or material ones, so to speak. And today we're going to start moving into the top four, which are more about consciousness. They're a little bit sort of like the higher realms. So the heart is the first one. That's the one that we're going to start with today. And I mean, it's probably one of my favorite ones for the obvious reason that, as far as I see it, everything starts from love, and the heart is a very positive and beautiful representation of that. And so we'll begin with that. So obviously love would be one of the brainstorming terms that we can start with. But in general, when we think of the heart chakra, we think of love, we think of compassion, we think of forgiveness, we think of balance, peace. Those are all aspects that come in. We look at relationships, we look at forgiveness, we look at a beautiful balance of giving and receiving, right? So it typically starts from the heart, where we give out to people and we receive from people. So there's a beautiful flow there that happens at the level of the heart, and it has to do with balance and equilibrium. And it's all about peace, right? So peace is one element. Connection to others is another element of the heart chakra. And we can also think of the heart chakra as the place where as I'm breathing, we're integrating our breath, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so these are just the basic elements of what we're going to start to discuss. And I think that the heart chakra is one of the ones that are easier for people to really identify with, because it's so popular, and people tend to know more about this chakra than some of the other ones. So when we think of the location of the chakra, so it's right sort of like at your chest level, in between right here, and it has to do with the heart, with the chest, with the lungs, because remember I was talking about breathing. We'll discuss that in a minute. So lungs, also like the middle to upper back as well, so those areas are also concerned with the heart. And this particular chakra, so it's element, because we were talking about elements in each of the chakras. So we started, I'm just recapping guys, just to refresh your memory a little bit, try to think of it as a quiz if you'd like. So we started with the root chakra, and we said that for the root, the element is earth, right, because we're talking about grounding. Then we went on to talk about the sacral chakra, or the navel or the belly chakra, and that's the seat of emotions. And so there we talked about water being the element that we're dealing with. Then we moved on into the solar plexus chakra, and there we have the element of fire that we're dealing with. And in the heart chakra, since we're talking about breathing, what do you think the element is? Yay, you got it, it's air. So we're going to be talking a lot about air, and how air is so important in our lives, because without air we cannot breathe, without our heart we cannot live, and so they're very interconnected. So I'm gonna address that in a minute. And the feelings or the aspects that we want to deal with when we talk about the heart chakra have all to do with love and relationships. So that's the main theme, or the main element that this chakra has to do with. And again, we're going to discuss that more in detail in a minute. I'm just kind of giving you guys an overview, and then we'll jump into each part bit by bit. And the colors, of course, are green, which is what I'm wearing today, and a little bit of pink on my lips. So green and pink. I have a candle here. It's green for the heart. And pink as well, because traditionally it's green, and then I think it's more of a new thing that the pink came in. But there's other chakras that have different color connotations, like the root has black and red, and so the heart has green and pink. So we've seen that a little bit. We're starting to get a little bit more familiar with it. So either or, both green and pink work just as well in terms of the vibrations of the heart chakra. Okay. okay? So the name of the heart chakra in Sanskrit is Anahata, and we're going to start slowly but surely describing more in detail what are the functions of this chakra. So why is this chakra here? Why is it important to have this chakra balanced? And it's important for a lot of reasons, a lot of reasons. And we're really, when we think of Anahata, when we think of the heart chakra, we are really at the center of the chakra system, right? Because we have the three chakras under it, and we have the three chakras on top of it, right? So we're literally at the heart of this whole system as we speak, okay? And the center is very important because also, you know, since we're talking about being at the heart of it, it's also at our very core, the essence of who we are, right? So we are embodiments of love, and love is the sort of like all-encompassing force that is out there, that divine, you know, feeling that is so elusive and we don't understand, and all of us try to exhibit and to bring to balance and to bring into existence into our lives, because, you know, that is how we thrive, that is how we make connections with people, that is how we support ourselves by loving others and by receiving love from others. And so that's very, very important. When we think of the heart chakra, the authors of the book that I'm using, so Anodea Judith and Selene Vega, they call it, they say that the heart chakra is kind of like the ceiling of the lower three chakras, and it's the roots of the higher three chakras. And so that's how they kind of look at it. So they say the ceiling of the lower world, which are the lower three, and the root of the upper world. And what ends up happening is it's at this level, at this very center where our heart is located, is where, you know, we have that balance between the two worlds, right? And so below we have the material, the physical world, and then above we have the spiritual world. And so it's literally that equilibrium point between matter and spirit. And so that's why this center is so important, because it really stands at it's our center point of equilibrium for all that we know and all that we are as a physical embodiment and as a spiritual form as well. And let's see. Okay, we'll move on to the element of air. So I was discussing earlier, talking about how when we breathe, you know, we're bringing air in, and without air we cannot live. The same way that, you know, if our heart stops beating, we cannot live. And so I was trying to get you guys to start thinking about what's the connection, right? And the connection there is that breathing keeps us alive, much like the heart keeps us alive. And that happens because as we intake the air that is all around us, we're breathing it into us, and what happens is the oxygen of the air is running through our bloodstream. It's permeating our entire structure, right? So as it permeates the entire structure of our body, our heartbeat is what gets that going, right? So our heartbeat is what gets our bloodstream, our blood pumping, and the oxygen has to come in and oxygenate our blood, and therefore all the other organs and everything else. So it's a very central piece to life that, you know, these two are interconnected. And when we think of air, as soon as we, you know, it's something that we cannot live without, the same way that our heart is something that we just cannot do. And it's this interplay between the two of them that keeps us alive and gives us, you know, that vitality that we need to keep us going all the time, right? From the moment we're born, our heart keeps beating the whole time, and, you know, we breathe the same way from the moment we're born to the moment we die. So these are very, very interconnected. And again, I was talking about how when we think of the heart chakra, it's in the area of the lungs, right? So we have the lungs, we have the heart, and the way that it works is that when you breathe, you have your diaphragm, which is just sort of like the top of your thoracic cage in, you know, bodily terms. And what happens is, and I want to make sure that I get this right, but when you breathe in, your diaphragm muscle actually goes down, And so literally when you're breathing in, it's like you're inviting the energies from the higher chakras to come in to the heart. And then as you breathe out, the diaphragm comes back up. So the diaphragm is kind of like a, you know, it can go either like this or it can go either like this, like it bends depending on how you're breathing. And so one more time, when we breathe in, the diaphragm goes down to bring in the energy from above to make space for that, and our lungs also expand, and so the diaphragm needs to move out of the way for our lungs to take in that air. And then as we breathe out, what happens is the opposite, and so we pull the energy up from below, and the diaphragm actually comes back up. Okay, so that's where in between our breath, every inhalation and exhalation is the perfect balance between the spiritual world and the physical world. And I believe in like the Indian and Vedic, Sanskrit terminology. I think that's called like a prana or pranayama, if you'd like to look into it further. I'm not really going into that in these videos, but I'm just giving you the terms in case you'd like to look that up. A very good book that I would suggest to you if you're interested in that is it's called Chakra Centers of Transformation by Harish Johari. Let me just check if I have it here. I'll check in a minute if I have it. If I do, I'll show it to you guys. And it's very, very good at expressing all of this Vedic sort of Indian terminology. It's great. It's very, very good for that. So I'll put that out there too. So, you know, anytime that we're working with air and we're interacting with it through our breath that happens constantly, non-stop, our heart is integrating that, and we're constantly having the access between the physical and the spiritual. And it's through this breathing that we access our sacred space, right? So remember, when we start to quiet down, when we meditate, when we get into that relaxed state of being where we're trying to disconnect from, you know, whatever's been happening throughout the day, and just kind of quiet down and like filter out the noise and listen to ourselves and to our center. Our exact center is the heart, and we want to try to sink into the heart, and that starts with our breathing, right? The first thing that we start to work on in order to bring our awareness to the heart is our breath. Right, so we start to say, okay, let's breathe slower, you know, in through the nose, out through the mouth, or, you know, there's different, I mean, there's a lot of exercises out there for breathing, but it's through breathing that we begin to have that access into the heart, because they are intimately connected through the element of air. And one last thing that I want to mention about air before I move on is that air is very, you know, it's very expansive. It's an expansive thing. You know, it permeates all that is around us. It's always there. It fills all the spaces, so it's all around. Any space that, even if the space is empty, it's not empty because air is there, and it tends to take the shape of all that it fills, just like water does in our sacral chakra. But it's a lot lighter in its form, and a lot more gentle as a medium, so to speak. And for that matter, so is love, right? When we think of the force of love, it permeates everything. It permeates, and it's all around us. You know, it's very gentle. It's very peaceful. It's a peaceful and loving energy. And so there's very many similarities there that can be drawn. And so if we're talking about love, and we're moving into that, I would say that love is the basic principle of the heart chakra, right? And I mean, it's common sense, but that would definitely be the first aspect that the heart chakra is all about. And we're talking about that expansive state of spirit, right? When we're in love, you know, we can't describe it. We can't even find the words to explain the feeling that we get, because it almost feels like it's out of this world, and yet we do feel that sense of expansiveness, of otherness that is both within us and outside of us, at the same time, right? Because love permeates everything. So you're connecting with other people, with with everything around you. And so you get that feeling of, being expanded to a certain level, and that's where you really have that connection of the physical with the spiritual. And when we're thinking of love too, it's an idea of transcending, right? So we think of love as something that is superior to everything else. There is nothing quite like love. And there never will be, because love transcends all there is and all there ever will be. It's that all-encompassing, all-powerful, all-permeating force that is basically driving us. And so it's also because it's at the very level of that balance point. In the way that you look at it, it's like an interconnectedness of two planes. So again, we're talking about the physical plane, and we're talking about the spiritual plane, and love is that force, that power that brings those two together. And one thing that I would like to mention, actually, there's a diagram. I'll show it to you guys in a second, and it's anytime that we're in love, we feel that from our center, we're radiating outward. And so the energy is that of a spiral just radiating. And I have a picture that I thought was really, really pretty. Let me just try to find it for you guys. I think it was page 185. Yes, it was. It's absolutely gorgeous. I didn't see that. Like, I didn't think of that before, and I think it's so expressive. So I'm just gonna put it here. I hope you guys can see. Right, and so it starts over here at the heart, and look how as it expands, it goes through every chakra. Right, so as it extends outwards. Sorry, I'm just gonna bring this closer a little bit. I hope you guys can see here. And so it starts over here, and then you'll see it going through the throat, and then through the solar plexus, through the third eye, through the sacral, through the crown, and then through the root, and expanding outward. So it's really the centerpiece, the balance point between these three and these three, to show you a visual explanation there. Okay, so that's good. Let me see, what did I miss? What did I miss? There's so many things about the heart. It's a really loaded subject. It really is. And again, one thing that I would like to mention is that when we talk about the heart, the passion and the will that were coming from the previous centers, right? So remember that we had groundedness, we had passion, we had willpower in the bottom three chakras, the physical chakras. All of those are fueling the heart. And then at the same time, from above, from the crown, the third eye, and the throat, we're getting sort of like a downstream of information of openness, and that spiritual element that is coming through from there. So again, we're seeing that flow of energy that is constantly going up and down, right? And that's what really shows what the balance of the heart is all about, is that it's at this particular center, at this balance point, that those two streams of information are meeting and making that perfect equilibrium point that we're referring to. And when we think of equilibrium and balance, we want to think of it as whatever has a good balance, any system that has good balance is going to last, right? And it's the same thing with our health. If we're not really balanced health-wise, we might get sick, we might die. Longevity is not going to be there if we don't have a balanced system. So if we get sick, remember earlier on I was talking about temperature, and I was saying that sometimes if our body is very well regulated, so that if the temperature of it even slightly changes, there's a lot of things that are starting to happen right away at that level, to let you be aware that there's something really wrong going on. And what I want to mention here is that anything that has a good balance, and this has to do also with relationships, not just with our bodies, but when we talk about relationships out there with people, with friends. You know, it has a huge impact on our lives, on what we do and how we carry ourselves, and on our behaviors and interactions with other people, right? And so if you have a balanced friendship, if you have a balanced relationship, it goes smooth, and you feel that sense of expansiveness, and you know, you're feeling joy, you're feeling elated, you're feeling grateful and joyful, and you know, it just keeps flowing because there's a nice two-way balance going on between you and that other person, whatever the nature of the relationship might be. You know, if there's a power imbalance, or if, you know, one person's always giving and one person's always receiving, then it starts to get kind of complicated. Things are starting to come up, and that's when issues occur, and that's when the balance, that equilibrium point is getting upset. And you know, typically when we're in balance with ourselves, when we've reached that balance within us, that is when, on an outside level too, our relationships and our environment and our circumstances will reflect that back to us, right? So that's when you'll see that there's that sense of expansiveness and peace and serenity, the more that we have it clear for ourselves that we as people, as our own person, we are in a state of balance. I'm going to read a little part here because I really enjoy it. So let's see, and again, we're just talking about that sense of balance. So it says, love is an interpenetration of energy fields, much as the two intersecting triangles in the lotus describe. I will show you that eventually. Probably tomorrow I will show you the yantra, so you can get an idea of that. This implies relationship, be it a relationship between different aspects of ourselves, spirit and matter, a mother and child, culture and environment, or one lover to another. Without an overall sense of balance, however, a relationship breaks down. It is through balance that love is sustained. Healthy relationships seek a healthy balance, a voluntary balance. The sound that is made without any two things striking comes from a voluntary giving of energy to another, and a giving that is met voluntarily on the other side. If a person is put in the position of having to provide more than they receive in a relationship, feelings of obligation and resentment set in, and these are the enemies of love. While outer circumstances of a relationship might bind us, true heart chakra commitment comes from a balanced meeting of needs, desires, and challenges. Okay, so the meaning of anahata, just because I didn't explain that, is it sounds as the sound that is made without any two things striking. And so what's happening is there's a beautiful harmony that is achieved from a great sense of this balance. So I give and you give, and I receive and you receive, and there's that beautiful, you know, they say that it's a resonance, it's the sound that happens, but it's not because we're clashing, it's not because you know, there's forces there at conflict or at bay, and so there's a beautiful harmony that is achieved, and there's no things are left unstruck. That's another word that describes this chakra. And what they're saying is that this beautiful flow of giving and receiving is something that happens when things are in balance, when things are in order, and when you're typically at your equilibrium point, there's a beautiful flow going on there where, you know, you not only give to others, but you're also open to receiving, and the flow is constantly going, you know, two ways. And one thing that I would like to mention is that for that state of being to really be there, we have to start with self-love. And as hard as that might be sometimes, you know, if we don't have the self-love that we need, that we have to offer ourselves, there is absolutely no way that we can offer that to other people, you know. And over time, even if we try, that relationship is bound to crumble. And so that's why a lot of the times we hear, you know, you have to start with yourself and you have to love yourself first. And that is why, because having that state of balance in yourself, in your own center, is what's really going to be the base for you know, your relationships and your interactions with others to be successful, balanced, and loving in sequence. And I think that's it for me, guys, for today. The last thing that I want to address here is just that I wanted to show you the mandala meditations, the little drawings, because I think they're absolutely gorgeous. And one last thing that I forgot to mention is that when we think of the heart, we're reaching a point where we're not so much reactive, right? So the bottom 3 chakras are all about, you know, you're reacting, fight or flight, you know, passion, willpower, do this, do that, manifest, whatever. You're constantly reacting to your environment and everything that's around you. Whereas when you get to the heart chakra, you're starting to get a little bit more reflective, right? You're starting to look inwards, not so much outwards into, you know, my environment, my stability, my sense of manifesting and taking action out there. So it's not all out there, it's starting to come within, and you're bringing yourself into that inner point where you can focus inwards and then reflect and ponder your own essence and your own purpose. So that's another point that I wanted to mention there. And I'll just show you a couple of these drawings because I think they're absolutely amazing. And I think we'll end it there for today. So here's one. It's a beautiful interplay there of yellow and green, and so I really see it as a lovely mandala to use if you're literally bridging that transition between the solar plexus chakra and the heart chakra, because the 2 colors are merged here. And again, guys, I'm going to put these on my blog, so please tune in. Another thing that I'd like to tell you is that I have a little gift for you. So all I'm asking you to do is just to subscribe to my blog, so you can just keep updated with the post that I'm putting, and then after the event with the rest of the posts that I'll be updating, and to like my page. So I think most of you have already done that. Just in case you haven't, I'm just letting you know I'm giving out a free meditation with moi, and I'm also putting together a little booklet. It's a PDF booklet on all of the chakras that I will send out to absolutely everybody who's subscribed to my list. So please subscribe if you want to get these goodies. You know, it's just a quick meditation with me, but I think you'll really, really enjoy it. And at the same time, the PDF booklet that has a lot of this information, I wanted to kind of consolidate it for you guys, so even after the event you can have a little booklet that you can go to right away, and absolutely everything is there for you. So I'm just putting that out there in case you forgot or you missed it or whatever other excuse you might have. Okay. And so this is another mandala. It's purely pink, and it's very, very compassionate. You can feel the compassion just radiating out of this one. So I really like to use pink for self-love and self-forgiveness. Those are 2 things that I tend to go for when it comes to pink. And here we have another green one, but it's almost purely green, not so much the green and yellow interplay that we saw earlier. There we go. I hope you guys can see this. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, and I have 2 more. Let me just see what else is there. This one's a bit of a more radiant and colorful one. Over here. And last one, and we're good to go for today. This one's beautiful. Okay, so this one's more about, again, sort of that bridging that transition between the solar plexus and the heart, but it's not focusing on yellow and green, it's focusing more on yellow and pink. So again, both colors can be used interchangeably. Both green and pink are beautiful manifestations of this chakra, so they're perfect for this. And that's it for me, guys. That's it for today. I'm really excited to be back. We kind of missed you yesterday while taking a break, but I think it was good because we all just kind of needed to integrate all the information. So stay tuned. Tomorrow we're going to talk about what happens when this chakra is out of balance. Take care, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Blessings.